Now we're talking. Back to work. Hope you guys had a fantastic day out there. It's the last day of the month. Happy Halloween to you all. Boy, we've had a fantastic month of October. The last few weeks been a lot of fun in our trade room. I'm definitely sad to see the month come to an end, but that's all right. We're excited about the month of November. We got some big news coming tomorrow, first of the month. We get some great setups we're tracking. We're finally testing some big key levels we talked about last night on the 60-minute. I got some great spots for bull traps and reversals back down I'm watching for tomorrow. The only thing I'm worried about, though, is there are two little wrinkles, two issues we got to work around for tomorrow. One of those issues I think might actually be a good thing after all. So we'll talk about why I say some great spots for some bull traps tonight. We'll talk about how to work around those two issues. And as always, I'm going to give you guys a roadmap with my favorite trades in the video tonight. If you guys have a game plan to make some money on FOMC, first day of November tomorrow. Before we jump in, though, before we get the party going tonight, I'm excited just talking about it right now. Before we jump in, make sure you subscribe to the channel that we don't miss tomorrow night's video. And if you like these lessons, if you enjoy these videos, do me a favor, as always, hit that like button for me. Give me a shout out. Give me a hell yeah down in the comment section below. All kidding aside, though, thank you so much for tuning in, supporting the channel. Enough of the intro, though, Joe. Let's get ready for Wednesday. Not just Wednesday, first day of the new month. And of course, FOMC day coming here tomorrow. Now, on the 60-minute charts tonight, we'll start off tonight on the Nasdaq and the triple Qs. I got the Emini and the SPY in front of me here today. I always like to use the 60-minute time frames to plan my trades for the following day. And of course, later on in the video tonight, I'm going to drill down to some tick charts. Tick charts make the entry timing a whole lot easier. So we'll start off on the big picture here on the 60-minute, and later on in the video lesson, we'll drill down to some tick charts and talk about entry tactics here, because the money is made on those tick charts tomorrow in our trade room. You'll notice right now, the 60-minute charts right now, everything is bearish. And if you tuned in last night we talked about some key areas of resistance that we were kind of waiting to get up into these areas. And now we're finally up into pendulum swings and overhead levels of resistance. This seems like a very good spot for a bull trap and a run back down. One of the challenges we have here for tomorrow is you'll notice we have these trend lines coming up, right? These trend lines coming up on the 60-minute chart. If you have the right game plan for this, these trend lines can really be kind of a gift, because they do make our job easier tomorrow. We'll talk about why I say that, but if you're not prepared, those trend lines can really be a pain in the butt here for those bull traps. So we're going to dive deeper into how to use these trend lines to make some money tomorrow. Before we dive in and talk about entry tactics, before we go into more detail on the trend lines and kind of working around those here for tomorrow, let's double check the schedule for tomorrow. There's a lot going on the first day of the month of November. There are four things that you want to have on your radar. The first thing is overnight tonight, before midnight tonight, so early morning on Wednesday morning, we have the second of three major news events coming out of China. The China manufacturing PMIs are coming out. Be aware of that if you're trading overnight tonight. Later on in the session, for us tomorrow morning, we have a big block of news at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, specifically the ISM manufacturing and, of course, the JOLTS report. Those are pretty much the biggest news events of the morning session tomorrow morning. Remember, anytime we have major news at 10 o'clock, you better pay attention. And then most of you guys probably know this already. The third thing, of course, for tomorrow is the FOMC announcement at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. This really puts a lot of pressure on us to find trades early in the session. You got to have a good reason to be trading afternoon tomorrow afternoon. So definitely put some scarcity into the morning session tomorrow. And the final fourth thing you got to be aware of for tomorrow is there'll be no video newsletter tomorrow night. I've got to be out of the office, unfortunately, tomorrow evening. We'll be in our trade room tomorrow morning, though. We'll be here the rest of the week, but unfortunately, tomorrow night, I will not be publishing a video newsletter. So I do apologize to leave you guys hanging tomorrow night. So be aware of the news on China overnight, the 10 a.m., the JOLTS report, and the ISM manufacturing. And again, that FOMC at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Everyone expects them to pause raising rates, right? To pause the rate hikes tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see if everyone's on the right track here. Now back to our charts, because it's good to know when the news is, right? But the money is made on the charts. Let's now go over my favorite trades here for tomorrow. Give you guys a roadmap to make some moolah on hump day on Wednesday's trading session. Now, like I mentioned in the introduction, we're bearish overall. We're finally getting that pendulum swing off the range. We're finally getting up into those overhead levels of resistance we mentioned in last night's video. This is a great spot right now because we've got a little bit of short-term bullishness on the chart. Would love to trap in some bulls and use some bull traps for that run going lower here. Let's talk about that trend line though, right? Because this trend line, these really can be a good thing for us, because most of the time what happens on trend lines like this is they're going to get underneath them and try to use them as resistance, right? Basically, it's a breakout pullback of a trend line. So I definitely think there are ways to short this thing with some bull traps. I really like the idea of maybe even some bear traps right underneath these lows there, and then that kind of breakout pullback going lower here. So I think this 60-minute really gives us an overall game plan to use that trend line, the bull traps off the high, again, maybe some bear traps below that low, and then kind of riding it right back down to retest that low here for tomorrow. So let's now drill down to some tick charts here, because I think when you see the tick charts, it all kind of lines up pretty well here along with the game plan on the 60-minute. This is a 7,000 tick chart. You'll see in the upper left-hand corner. And if you're watching for the first time right now, that yellow line right there, that's the 21 EMA. In case you're tuning in here for the first time right now, there are really three components on this tick chart that will help us time the entries here for tomorrow. The first one is a trading range. Now, if you guys are taking my free video courses right now, you know that ranges, when we go underneath the range like this and then rotate higher, the high of that range oftentimes acts as an area for a breakout pullback, right? So we're anticipating right now kind of that pop up and that breakout pullback on this trading range. The second component on the chart is a channel. You can easily see that channel drawn off the highs, lines up well off the low. When you take this channel into consideration and you line up that trading range, it starts to really make a lot of sense here, right? For a breakout pullback off the low of that channel. So I like the way that looks. The third component of this is the levels, right? The levels of resistance. This is all that big resistance off the 60-minute time frame. So there really is there's plenty of ways in my eyes to make money on this market. This, of course, will also be very similar to the NASDAQ as well. We want to think about really three scenarios right now. One would be the breakout pullback, right? Now that breakout pullback, if we play our cards right, we might find some shorts right off the high. I like the idea of buying the breakout pullback and then making a run back up to retest the low. We might get a short right off that high. That's one scenario I want to kind of game plan here for tomorrow. Another very important scenario would be, right, what if we do get that pullback, but instead of getting that bounce back up again, which is very likely in a scenario like this, what if it was to roll and collapse back down? I want to put together a game plan so you know when to buy it or when to sell it, right? That'll be something we'll talk about tonight as we go deeper into the video. And towards the end of the video tonight, we'll talk about if it keeps going. This is a pretty bull market right now in the short term, right? It's not very bearish in the short term. So we'll wrap it up tonight and we'll talk about, who knows, right? Maybe it keeps on running. Markets love to kind of set up or tee up the market ahead of FOMC. So we have quite a bit to talk about tonight to make sure you guys are ready here for tomorrow. Now, let's talk about the let's talk about the breakout pullback, because this is kind of the most likely scenario, and this is the one where I think we got plenty of ways to make money. Now, we are bullish in the short term right now. So in order for me to short this thing on the pullback, I'm going to use what's called a crown reversal pattern. Okay, these crown reversal patterns, if you're taking my free video course right now, it wraps together a bullish failure with a bull trap, right, off of that high. It's a lower low in price, right, and a trap above that high. I call these crown reversals. There's a lot of examples of these, right, in our free video course. It's like a failure pattern and a trap pattern comes together, right? That'll make sense to you if you're in our free video courses. Now, once we get that crown reversal, now let's get down around the low of that channel, top of that range. And then if we start seeing the bears come in and run that thing lower, right, we'll talk more about this in a moment, but if the bears come in and start to struggle, right, to take it lower, remember, breakout pullback, right, of this trading range, I'd love to use what I call a failure pattern. This will be a 2-try failure pattern. We talk about this in the video course, right? A 2-try failure. And I'd love to trap in those bears and use their stops to fuel that move going higher, right? We call this a failure pattern in our video courses and, of course, in our trade room. Now, from there, where does the market want to go? It's going to want to go back and retest that high. Now, as we make our run going higher, what's my concern? I don't want to buy into all of this resistance because, again, we're pretty bearish overall on the 60-minute. In this situation, this is where a bear trap will be used to buy as low as possible. And remember, the way bear traps work is that it'll be a strong pop up, it'll be a higher high in price, and a trap right below that low. All right, guys? So again, it's a crown reversal, right, during the pullback. It's a failure pattern, a 2-try failure, right, on the breakout pullback, and it'll be a bear trap on the way higher. Now, if you're watching for the first time right now, this might be a brand new language for you. You might be like, what the heck is this guy talking about? But that's okay, though. I teach all these patterns, and more importantly, I have hundreds of examples of all of these to help you kind of pick it up and run with it in our free video course. What I'll do is I'll put a link up top here for you in the upper right-hand corner. Grab that link that popped up there and take that free trading course, because first of all, I'll teach you a simple trick that we use every morning in our our members trade room to know exactly where the best trades are going to be that day. And then what I'll do is I'll show you how to time the perfect entries with 4 of my favorite entry patterns to help kickstart you making money. If you're not making consistent money right now, these markets are way too good not to be doing well right now. Hit that link, take that free course. It'll give you an easy roadmap to follow each day and put you into more winning trades each week. Perfect for someone trying to make the jump into full-time trading. So hit that link up top there. You're going to love that free video course. And also, too, if you can't grab that link up top there, I'll put all the important links down the description of the YouTube video. I'll also put my Twitter feed down there as well. I post a lot of updates during the week on Twitter. So grab that free video course link in the description, and you can thank me later on that. I get a lot of good feedback off that free video course every week here on our YouTube channel. So that is one, right? That's one of the scenarios I mentioned earlier, right? That breakout pullback, right? Okay, now, one more thing I want to talk about here is we talked about the crown reversal on the short, the 2-try failure, right? The bear trap going higher. We talked about all of that. When we go back up and retest that high, who's up there, right? Who's waiting up there? Probably more sellers. Why? Because again, it's not an overall bull market. Not yet it isn't, right? We're still a bear market overall here for tomorrow. So as I go back and retest those highs, think about all the buyers who got in on that deep pullback. Where do you think they're taking their profit? if it's me tomorrow morning, I'll be taking the bulk of that position off at a retest of that high. So at this point, is it safe to say the rookies are the only buyers who are buying up there, right? Everybody else will be a seller, right? The big lot sellers who are selling high in an overall bear market, right? The people taking profit off their long trades. So a lot of sellers are going to enter the market right now, whether or not they're getting out of positions or getting into new positions. This is where one of those double top reversals can really come in handy. Now remember, in this example, we are very bullish here in the short term. So I'm not a big fan of picking tops and bottoms. What I'd rather do is wait for these buyers to try once, try twice, and then use that same two-try failure, but now to the short side and look for that run back down again, right? Think about that double top and then trapping in those. We assume these are rookies, right? Those rookies buying into those highs. We saw a great example right here, right? We go up, we pull back, we retest those highs, right? Horrible spot to be buying up there, right? Horrible spot to be buying. But as we pull back, buyers once, buyers twice, and look out below, right, on that double top reversal. We talked a lot about that last night on the video as well. So that covers now how to trade this breakout pullback. Now, like I mentioned earlier, how do we know when to short this thing going lower or when to buy it? It's very simple. It will all be about how the market reacts as it goes lower. So if we shoot lower right now, then we start seeing bears struggle once and twice. That's my failure run back up to retest the high. But if we push lower and we start to grind down, the grinding motion is always going to be the giveaway. Here's how you trade it. You mark off a trend line off those lows. You take that trend line, you copy it, and you pin it up around that high. This now will give you a new bear channel. Next thing up, look left, find some prior swings, and in my experience, the best entries are going to be off the top of that channel, and my favorite entries are right above the high of one of those prior swings. So the key is going to be, as it goes lower, if it begins to rotate, right? If it begins to, grind, right? That kind of grinding motion as it rotates off the high, and then we make it a bull trap or a trap high. Like in this example, and again, I apologize for using new terminology here. Take that free video course I mentioned earlier. It'll give you a better understanding of what I'm talking about here right now. It could be a bull trap like this. It could also pop up a bit higher up, get above that 21 moving average, get those buyers to come in and try to buy. There's your failure pattern into your pullback combination. And what's the goal? The goal would be, because we know that ranges like this love to rotate, the goal would be to get a rotation back about equal to the amount we rotated above, right? So we'll try to take out some of these lows down here. Now, what do we do if we end up down here? Right? What if we end up all the way down at those lows? Who do you think is down there? Buyers, right? People who shorted off the top, they're taking their profit down there, right? So probably not the best place to be selling, right? Down around support levels underneath the trading range. This would be a great place for a bear trap down here, because you can see here again, we've got a range, and ranges, they love to rotate back and forth. So I like the idea of the short, right? The bull trap off the high. We'll see if we get that pop and grind running lower to find that channel. But once we end up down around those lows, I like the idea of being a buyer down here. Now, what's my problem if I wind up all the way down at those lows? Momentum. That's we assume, right? If this market winds up all the way back down here, it's going to be very bearish as we go lower, right? So whenever we see a real strong move like this, we have to anticipate a pullback and a retest of that low, and then that bounce, right, going higher here, possibly a double bottom reversal. There are two types of patterns I look for to do this. One of them is going to be that same crown reversal. The same reason why I need a crown reversal to short off the high right now, right? We're so bullish into resistance. Just because we're at resistance doesn't mean I can just short this thing, right? That momentum will oftentimes keep this party going higher. And again, later on in the video tonight, I'm going to talk about how to trade this if it keeps going higher, because there's no guarantee this thing rolls off the high right now. However, if we end up all the way down at that low, we expect that pullback and that retest. So I need to make sure that, well, two things, right? Two things. If we expect a pullback and a retest of that low, okay, I first of all need to make sure I buy as low as I can, right? Because if I chase it as it goes higher, I'm walking right into a bull trap to run back down again, right? I don't want to chase it going higher. So one thing is I have to buy as low as I can, right? The second thing is I need to get some fuel to run this thing back up again, right? Because again, it's very bearish overall. So I need to fuel the move going higher, right? Because we're so bearish in this example. I also need to buy as low as possible. I know exactly one pattern that does exactly that. It's called a crown reversal. Bears try once, bears try twice. When the bears try twice, now their stops are sitting right above this area. Okay, this is the fuel we need to fuel this thing going higher again. I also need to buy as low as I possibly can, which means I want to buy with a bear trap. Does that make sense? Right? Remember, think about this pattern though. It's a higher high in price and a trap below that low. I'm buying nice and low. Again, I got to buy low because it could go up and roll right back down again. I want to be in the green on that trade significantly by the time I run into potential resistance and roll back down again, right? And again, we need the fuel, right? The stops are the fuel to push this thing back in the opposite direction because, again, in this scenario, we're so bearish overall. This is exactly where a crown reversal pattern is exactly what we need on this type of trade. Now, we may get that pop up. It may roll all the way back down again, right? And retest the low. Then what do? Well, think about it, right? Who's selling up here, right? The big lot traders, right? They're shorting those big pops. And think about this now, okay? This is where that trend line will probably come in handy on that 60-minute chart, right? This is that run off of that trend line I talked about on the 60-minute chart earlier today. If we end up, right? If we end up rolling up and we see those buyers come in once, twice, right? Roll back down again. Great spot there for a two-try failure. We pop up, right? We pop up. Buyers once, buyers twice. Roll back down again. We pop, right? We pop up. Buyers once, buyers twice. Roll back down again. That two-try failure. Now, everybody who sold short up here, right? Everybody who sold short on that, right, on that pullback now, right? Again, we go up. Buyers once, buyers twice, trap them in, retest that low. Think about that trend line, right, on that 60-minute chart we mentioned earlier. Now, we wind up all the way back down to retest the low. Who's trading down there? Who's trading down there, right? Not a lot of sellers, right, because all the bears got short on the bounce. That's what sellers do. They sell high, right? The smart sellers, at least. So who's down here? Buyers, right? People getting out of their short positions. Buyers buying low because that's what buyers do. They buy low. So now when I come in and we start seeing rookies to chunk, right? Rookies chasing after that move. I know this because I made this mistake a lot when I was a new trader. Now we can run those stops, right? And squeeze those stops right back up into usually back up takeout that high. All right, guys. So again, as we go lower, we got a good game plan to make money on the way down. We wind up all the way at that low, trap the bears in, use that crown reversal, pop it up, right? Roll over. Now remember, it may keep going, but if it starts to struggle, 1, 2, that strength of that move's going to want to retest that low, get that two-try failure, retest the low, trap those bears in. As you can see, I love to use stops. I think the easiest way to make money is to trap traders, inexperienced traders on the wrong side of the market. You might be making these mistakes right now. You might be the victim of a lot of these traps right now. Not for much longer, not for much longer. Knowledge is power, and now you guys know what to look for on that. All right, so now the game plan is set, right, on the breakout pullback, on the pop and grind lower, and if we're lucky, right, getting some longs right off of that low. One more thing I want to talk about tonight is what if it goes higher? You know, what if we keep going higher? Why don't we grab the Nasdaq? The Nasdaq's looking lonely over here. I haven't talked about the NQ or the triple Qs in quite a while, but 25 minutes into this video right now. Rest assured, though, everything we talked about on the S&P and the SPY can be applied to the Nasdaq. We got a strong bear market. Overall, we're now starting to get up into key areas of resistance up overhead. There's that trend line I talked about, right? That short, that breakout pullback and back down. And let's now go to the tick charts here right now and take a look here at the tick charts. Same basic principle here on the NASDAQ. The one key difference on the NQ is that we definitely don't have as much of a breakout pullback as the S&P does. Right now, the NASDAQ also has a bigger channel here, which can also be used as well. So it's kind of the same basic game plan. It's that crown reversal off the high. It's that trap those bears in and that run back up to retest the high. It's that roll lower. Right, it's that roll lower. If it grinds, we find that channel, look for that short. If we wind up all the way down at the lows, we're now underneath that trading range. Horrible place to be selling, great place for a bear trap underneath with a crown reversal. 1, 2, back down again, right, and 1, 2, try failure, back up. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat, right? Nothing very difficult about that. Run down, pop it up, 1, 2, back down. Let them try once, twice, right? And pop it back up again. Now, how do we trade this now? How do we trade this if we go higher? Okay, the challenge going higher is that we don't want to buy very low. I think the NASDAQ has a definite potential for a breakout pullback, just like the S&P does. So this, of course, is my trading range. This is kind of overhead resistance right now. If we wind up going higher here, now that breakout pullback, right? Now that breakout pullback is ripe for it. And really, when you think about it, it's kind of the same basic strategy, right? I'm looking for the breakout pullback we talked about there a moment ago, right? If that breakout pullback winds up collapsing back in, this is that pop and grind channel we mentioned, right? So a lot of that is the same thing. The one thing I just want you to be aware of is if this thing starts to sprint and run higher overnight, what's my concern? My concern is I got to buy as low as I can on that breakout going higher. To do that, we need to get some bear traps on the way going higher. So imagine, right? Imagine now we get that run up, that pullback, and that go. Let's talk about how to get in on the way up, how to short on the pullback, how to buy that breakout pullback, right, off of that range high. The way you do this is, if this starts to accelerate overnight, and I kind of save this for last because this is the one that probably is less likely for tomorrow, but who the heck knows, right? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't read this market's mind. It's a big news overnight. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen here for tomorrow. I just know based on what I'm seeing right now where the highest percentage opportunities are going to be, and with the game plan laid out, I just go out and wait and see what happens and trade the game plan we're outlining right now. So if we see a strong run going higher and we start seeing this thing making higher highs in price, you know where the buyers are going to want to get in. Want to buy as low as they can with a bear trap, right? That higher high in price. It'll look just like this, right? It'll go up, pull back, go up, right? And there is a great example there, right, of a bull trap. So if we wind up going higher, it's bear traps on the way high. It's a bear trap in this one on the way higher. And then as we start to get this run going higher, it'll probably be like a measured move. Right, probably like a measured move, right? Usually when ranges break out like this, right? There's your range. When ranges break out like this, it's usually first leg and second leg. It'll usually be a measured move up there. Once we take out that measured move, then what do? We don't just simply sell this thing, right? Because again, it's a very bullish environment in an overall bear market. This is where that crown reversal comes in, right? The lower low in price and that trap above that high. The rest of this is very similar to what we talked about on the S&P. We now know what was resistance becomes an area of support now. We get underneath that moving average, trap those bears in once, twice, run those stops for that run back up to retest the high. Once we retest the high, do buyers struggle 1 and 2? If so, that becomes that 2-try failure, that double top reversal I had mentioned earlier. So again, it's that crown reversal to pick that top correctly. It's that 2-try failure on the breakout pullback. And then again, if we go back to retest the high, everybody who bought on that deep pullback should be taking some serious profit at that high. If the rookies are foolish enough to buy into it, great spot here now for that short back down, because again, we are an overall bear market on the 60-minute time frame. If we were to go up 1, 2, crown reversal, and now we roll over and grind down, right? We now grind down. You know how to trade that, right? The grinder is the giveaway. We mark off that high. See that low, we mark off that high, we look left, and we don't miss that first test. First test is the best test when it comes to channels like this. And again, it could be a bull trap like I'm showing you here. It could be a buyer failure, a pullback combination, the same stuff you guys are learning in our free trading course. All right, guys? So that's the game plan if it goes higher, right? If it rips higher here, it's those bear traps going up, that crown reversal. It's pretty much the same game plan we talked about a few moments ago on the S&P. All right, guys? So now we have a pretty good game plan. I apologize for not making the move to the Nasdaq sooner in this video. But again, it's all the same stuff here pretty much on the S&P and the Nasdaq. Now, the game plan's ready for tomorrow. We know the market's got big news tomorrow morning, this FOMC tomorrow afternoon. So early in, we definitely have some pressure to find trades as early as possible tomorrow. And you know, with that news overnight from China and the big reports tomorrow morning, you know there'll be some curveballs tomorrow morning in our trade room. But that's exactly what we're going to get together and trade this stuff together tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. The game plan's ready. Now tomorrow morning, come out and trade it with me. I can't think of any better way to learn to trade than to come out and look over my shoulder, trade along with me, ask a bunch of questions, have some fun. We've had a great month of October, and I have no reason to believe November. I'll tell you right now, if November's half as good as the month of October, I will be a very happy trader. So what I would do is I'll put all the important links down in the description of the video. Start first with the free video classes that we can learn the basic strategy, see a bunch of examples, and start finding ways to apply that to your own trading. That will get you warmed up and ready to hopefully sometime soon come out and trade with me sometime in the morning trade room with all the advanced members. If you have questions or any trouble getting access to our free video classes, don't be a stranger. We're always here to help. You can always call the office or use live chat. I'm always here to help out. So if you have questions or have trouble getting in, just keep in touch, email or Skype or telephone or live chat, whatever's easiest for you. All right, guys, boy, what a fantastic day it's been. New month tomorrow, FOMC tomorrow. Get a good night's sleep tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time in the morning trade room. If not, again, there'll be no video news tomorrow night. We'll come back on Thursday night and get ready for a finally Friday trading session. Remember, we got Apple earnings on Thursday, so a lot more to come later on in the week. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. If not, we'll come back here on Thursday night and we'll keep this party going. My name is Joseph. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Be well. Be nice to each other out there. And you better be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye for now.